October 24, 2025, Torrance, California. In an unremarkable office building near Los Angeles International Airport, rows of small cylinders the size of drainpipes sit on shelves. Unassuming, nondescript. But each one is capable of flying 800 kilometers at speeds above Mach 5 and hitting a moving target with meter-level precision. This is Blackbeard, and today the Pentagon just signed contracts to integrate it into operational Army and Navy systems. If you've been following the hypersonic gap debate in recent years, you've grown accustomed to hearing one story: China is ahead, Russia has deployed, America is behind, DF-17 on parade in Beijing, Zircon on Admiral Gorshkov. Western analysts shake their heads and talk about a lost decade. But while analysts were writing obituaries for American superiority, two former SpaceX engineers were quietly building what adversaries cannot: a production line. Rewind to 2022. Brian Hargis and Joe Lorienti meet at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Both had seen the same thing: how Elon Musk turned rocket building from an art into an industry. Vertical integration, rapid iteration, production at scale. Falcon 9 flies every few days. Starship is built like cars on an assembly line. And military hypersonic programs, LRHW, CPS, ARRW below. Each missile costs millions. Each test takes months of preparation. Production schedules are measured in years. What if we apply SpaceX methodology to hypersonics? The question that changed everything. They leave, found Castelion, the name chosen deliberately. Castle plus lion. Defense and strength. But the real strength is in their approach. Design for manufacturability from day one. March 9, 2024. Mojave Desert Test Site. The first Blackbeard prototype arrives at the test stand. From blank sheet to flight in less than a year. For comparison, the ARRW program began in 2018. First successful tests came in 2024. 6 years to develop a single system that ultimately did not go into production. Blackbeard does the same thing in 18 months, and not just one test. More than 20 test flights by the end of 2024. The secret is not the genius of a single idea. The secret is SpaceX philosophy applied to weapons. Vertical integration. Castelion manufactures solid rocket motors, guidance systems, avionics, everything in-house. Rapid iteration. Tests every few weeks, not once per year. Design for production. They design a missile that can be produced by the thousands. December 2024. Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Full end-to-end test. Blackbeard launches, reaches hypersonic speed, maneuvers, hits target. Success. But this is only the beginning of the story. November 2025. While the world watches Chinese parades with YJ-17, YJ-19, and YJ-20 anti-ship missiles, Silicon Valley venture capitalists make a bet on Castelion. $100 million. $70 million Series A, led by Lightspeed Venture Partners. Andreessen Horowitz joins, $30 million in venture debt from Silicon Valley Bank. This is not ordinary defense financing. This is tech startup funding. The people who invested in Airbnb and Snap are now investing in hypersonic weapons. Why? Because Castelion is not selling a military program. They are selling scale. Target price for Blackbeard, hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit. For comparison, the LRHW Dark Eagle costs around $25 to $40 million per missile. Castelion talks about producing thousands of missiles annually at full capacity. The entire LRHW program inventory is measured in dozens of units. China has DF-17s, maybe 100, maybe 200. America will have Blackbeards, thousands. But the real magic is in the platform integration. M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. HIMARS, a name everyone knows after footage from Ukraine. A mobile launcher that can fire 6 missiles and disappear before counterfire. October 24, 2025, Castelion announces Blackbeard will be integrated with HIMARS. Think about the implications. HIMARS are already deployed worldwide. US Army, US Marines, Poland, Romania, the Baltics, Ukraine. Hundreds of systems, thousands of trained crews. And now each of these systems can potentially launch hypersonic missiles at 800 kilometers. No new platforms needed. No retraining crews. Just a new missile in the existing launcher pod. Tactical flexibility, strategic reach. A Chinese Type 055 cruiser, 800 kilometers from the coastline, thinks it is safe behind layers of air defense. A HIMARS battery on Guam fires Blackbeard. Mach 5 plus speed. Maneuvering trajectory. Seeker guidance for moving targets. Target reaction time, minutes, not hours. This is not Cold War nuclear strike, only hypersonics. This is tactical, conventional, affordable hypersonic fires available to battalion-level commanders. But missiles need to be manufactured somewhere. November 2025. Announcement, Project Ranger, Sandoval County, New Mexico. 1,000 acres, solid rocket motor manufacturing campus. Over $100 million investment. 300 high-quality jobs. This is not a traditional defense contractor facility. This is a mass production factory. Vertical integration means control of the entire chain. Propellant mixing, motor casting, guidance system assembly, integration, testing, everything on one site. Castelion is not just hiring engineers, they are hiring manufacturing specialists, production line technicians, people who know how to turn a prototype into a product. CEO Brian Hargis says it directly. If we can build this better, faster, cheaper, both sides should be rewarded for that. Better, seeker-guided precision, hypersonic speed, survivable against modern air defense. Faster, 20-plus test flights in 18 months, from concept to contracts in 3 years. Cheaper, hundreds of thousands per unit, not tens of millions. The timeline, January to March 2026, proof of concept demonstration. End of fiscal year 2026, 10 prototypes for flight testing from HIMARS. Fiscal year 2027, live fire demonstration. Fiscal year 2028, initial operational deliveries begin. Compare this to other programs. The Navy's CPS began in 2018. First planned deployment, now pushed to 2027. Almost a decade. The Army's LRHW started around 2019. Blackbeard? From foundation in 2022 to initial deliveries in 2028. 6 years total, November 19, 2025. Under-Secretary of Defense Emil Michael announces 6 critical technology areas. Number 1, scaled hypersonics. The key word, scaled. The Pentagon is no longer interested in exotic prototype programs. They want to maximize lethality through mass fielding. Castelion is perfectly positioned for this shift. Traditional defense contractors excel at building exquisite systems. F-35, Aegis. But their business model is built on high-cost, low-volume production. The Castelion business model is opposite. Good enough performance, radical affordability, mass production. Let's be honest about Chinese programs. The DF-17 makes an impressive display at parades. But how many are actually produced? Estimates vary, from 50 to 200 units. Not bad for demonstrating capability. Not enough for a sustained campaign. In a real conflict, these numbers evaporate quickly. Now imagine the US approach. Hundreds of HIMARS platforms, each capable of launching Blackbeard. Thousands of missiles in inventory. Sustained months-long campaign capability. This is the difference between demonstration and deterrence. China can show a hypersonic missile at a parade. America can show a production line producing hundreds per year. Guess which one the adversary fears more? Blackbeard is part of an entire philosophy. High-low mix of hypersonic weapons. High-end, systems like LRHW Dark Eagle for opening moves. Take out critical air defense, command nodes. Low-end, affordable systems like Blackbeard for sustained fires. Once the door is open, flood the zone with volume fires. This is exactly how the 1991 Gulf War air campaign worked. F-117 stealth fighters took out critical targets the first night. Then conventional air power dominated for weeks. Only now replace F-117s with LRHW, conventional air power with Blackbeard. Congress is watching closely. Traditional hypersonic programs still do not have approved acquisition programs of record. Blackbeard can change that. Rapid prototyping means a faster path from test to fielding. Fixed-price contract means predictable costs. If successful, Blackbeard can become the model for future weapons procurement. But don't forget about allies. HIMARS are already deployed with Poland, Romania, the Baltics. If Blackbeard proves successful, Allied adoption is practically guaranteed. A Polish HIMARS battery on the border with Kaliningrad, armed with Blackbeard, 800-kilometer range means reach deep into Russian territory. This is not just American capability. This is an Allied, distributed, resilient strike network. Step back. Look at the pattern. 2018 to 2023, US falling behind in hypersonics. Worry, concern, congressional hearings. 2024 to 2025, successful tests. Program stabilizing, production planning begins. 2025 to 2026, paradigm shift. From catch-up to scale-up, from prototypes to production lines. And at the center of this shift, two SpaceX engineers who decided to apply Silicon Valley thinking to one of the most complex defense challenges. This is a very American story. The Soviet Union built impressive prototypes. Energia Buran, single flights, never operational. America built Saturn V, landed on the moon, then built the Space Shuttle program. 135 missions over 30 years. China builds impressive demonstrations, carrier killers at parades. America builds factories. By 2030, potentially hundreds, maybe thousands of Blackbeard rounds in inventory. HIMARS batteries worldwide capable of delivering hypersonic precision fires. Chinese planners look at this timeline, and the math looks very bad. Their DF-17 advantage evaporates when US production exceeds their inventory by 10x. This is called deterrence through overwhelming firepower. Not nuclear deterrence, conventional deterrence. The ability to deliver such a volume of precise, high-speed fires that the adversary does not even consider aggression an option. But the most important lesson here is not about hypersonic missiles. The lesson is about what happens when Silicon Valley methodology meets the defense industrial base. Rapid iteration beats perfect planning. Vertical integration beats complex supply chains. Production thinking beats prototype thinking. Castelion did not invent hypersonic flight. Sandia, DARPA, service labs developed the basic technologies over decades. What did Castelion do? They took that technology and figured out how to build it at scale. From an office building near LAX to Pentagon contracts in 3 years. From first flight to 20-plus tests in 18 months. This is SpaceX speed applied to weapons. The October 24, 2025 announcements are not just contracts. It is a signal that America has made a strategic choice. Do not chase adversaries in prototype Olympics. Build production capacity they cannot match. Turn hypersonic weapons from expensive rarities into deployable arsenals. This is what real strategic victory looks like. Not winning by going first. Winning by going to scale. In the end, this is the old American formula. World War II, the Soviet Union had the T-34. Germany had the Tiger. America built 50,000 Shermans. Vietnam. North Vietnam had MiGs. America built thousands of F-4 Phantoms. Today, China has the DF-17 demo. Russia has Zircon claims. America builds a production line. And when the dust settles, a simple truth emerges. Arsenals beat prototypes. Production beats parades. Scale beats spectacle. This is America's strategic edge, not the best individual system. The best ability to produce systems at scale. Castelion Blackbeard is the modern manifestation of this philosophy. And that's why when the Pentagon says maximize lethality through scaled weapons in November 2025, this is not empty rhetoric. This is a plan, already in motion, with production lines under construction, with contracts signed, with deliveries scheduled. China demonstrates hypersonics at parades. Russia claims hypersonic superiority. America? America builds factories, and at the end of the day, factories win wars.